someone in a way I'm going to control them in a roll or a match, you get a little bit too far away from the game part of it, because this is really just, it's designed to teach you skills that you wouldn't develop otherwise, right?
Oh, sorry.
So like literally, there's no wrong way to do this. There's just, are you meeting the conditions, which is to say, are you not putting your chest on them? Are they still trying to escape and do that? If you're able to hold them, both hands on, like, can I for a second?
Yeah.
I would certainly never be able to do this to Evan, but I do this to other people all the time, where I will literally, do stuff like this, and just like circle on them for like a minute at a time, right? If you develop the coordination to pin their hands, there's almost no end to what you can do. Yes, sir.
You're allowed to grab that wrist and pin him?
You sure can. You can big brother the shit out of this, right? Like, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so did this change how much your partner was able to regard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dramatically, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And when they did, it was because they gave you like a huge bridge and shoved you, right?
Yeah.
So again, once we know that, we can probably predict, at least before it was like, what are they going to do? Oh, they might turn away, they might turn in, they might regard. Which one they do is a little bit trickier. Now it's like, they're going to regard. They're not going to turn away very easily, they're not going to turn in very easily. They're going to regard, and when they do, it's going to be with a giant bridge, the hip escape kind of pushing motion. So when that happens, you should be able to feel it, right? Like if I'm doing this sort of thing and he just gives it like a big like bump, then we can move off of them, right? Where you will run into trouble with this stuff is once you establish like a solid position, let's say I'm doing this, and they go to bridge and you're like just trying to hold them real tight and then the bridge is real hard, and then I get displaced and then he regards. So just, conceptually, when somebody goes, like you'll feel it, right? Like they load up and they go, you will feel that. If you try to hold them, I know nothing about bucking broncos, but I assume it's the same thing, where like if you try to hold on real tight, you're just gonna get chucked. Whereas if you move around a little bit with it, is that even correct?
A little bit. It's got a little bit.
Is it? It's got to be, right? Yeah, if I try to hold on to them real tight, I'm creating a lot of like tension and stiffness in my body, which makes my body into basically a lever. And it's going to be much more easy to transmit force through that and into that. So when I'm holding somebody in place, real tight, and I feel them explode, I'm just going to relax off of that, because I know that when they explode, they can't instantly recreate the knee-elbow connection that comes with a guard. So that kind of makes sense. So trying to hold someone there just allows them to sort of shove you away. If when they go to explode, I allow them to do it, I know that their body takes, can you hold a bridge for a second? Their body's going to take on that shape. So when I disconnect from him, as long as I disconnect away from the legs, he goes to regard now, and I can just kind of put something in the way, and I should be able to hold the position. So when we do another round, I do want you to keep that in mind. Obviously, you don't need to practice how do I not be tight. You'll do it during the round, but that's just kind of the first tip I'm going to give you. Is that the layer we're going to add is don't try to hold them when you can finally funnel them into the one big bridge. Just disconnect and then focus on keeping the legs away. Any questions about that, just as an idea? Yes, sir.
Do you find this
Sorry, I'll be right with you, man.
to help create better habits for controlling the person? When I found taking my chest control away,
Yeah.
at first I felt really dislocated.
Yeah.
So keeping this stuff in mind is creating better habits for controlling the person's body.
What it is it's creating better habits for when they do break your chest to chest. So the problem with, the reason I teach this, other than I think it's cool and fun, is when we want to submit somebody, at least from side control, it's next to impossible without letting go. I can't think of a way where I'm just going to submit you from here unless I can just shoulder pressure submit you, which that's not going to happen very often, let's face it. So if I want to create a submission, what do I have to do? I have to give you a little bit of space. And also, just by virtue of the sort of chaos that happens when you almost seal a pass and people are just going ape shit to try to do whatever, we want to have the ability to control that chaos. It's pretty easy to control somebody once you get chest to chest. Controlling people without that is much more of a difficult skill to develop. So that's we're trying to backdoor teach you how to actually get chest to chest by having a bunch of different ways of controlling somebody, and also having the confidence to not have to rely on chest to chest contact, so that when I want to go to knee ride or I want to start trying to submit you, I can allow you to move. One of my kind of philosophies on jiu-jitsu is anyone can seem really good when they don't move, right? Like the guy who's like, I'm real tough to submit. Yeah, dude, so's like a 2-month-old that was born with the ability to do the fetal position. Like, this is not a skillful movement, right? Like, it's not totally not skillful, but literally anyone can just compress their body into this shape. Skill lies in being able to move around and not, if I can do this and not be submitted, that's a lot of skill. If I do this, like literally anyone, like people who don't know jiu-jitsu can just do this and not get armbarred. So to me, that's a lower order skill than the ability to move in between more open positions. And if I have the confidence that when somebody starts to move around, I can still control them, I'm much more likely to submit them or get onto their back, or does that make sense? So it's, these are like, people would call them intangible skills. I don't think they're intangible. Obviously, I'm trying to teach them. But like, just, and don't like fluff me up, don't like try to make me feel good, but do you feel like you have a superior understanding of control at all from the little bit that we've done so far? Or at least, if not superior, different. Like you can control someone in a different way than you could before.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So the next thing we're going to introduce. So we kind of went over this, and we went over the idea of a lever, right, or a lever, which I'm told is the proper way to pronounce it, to help control somebody. We're now going to start introducing wedges. So the first wedge we'll introduce is just going to be my thigh underneath my partner's thigh, and my other thigh on top of it, and my lat or my rib cage, my partner's knee, and this kind of thing. So go ahead and escape now. I can't. This is a really, it's really effective, right? It's a very effective control position. So I'm doing two things. One, I'm wedging one of his legs off the ground, and it's the one he needs to regard. So like he's not regarding at this point. Also, last time I checked, to get all the way up to your feet, you need both legs underneath you. You can't. Like there's literally no way for him to get up now. And because I've created an extra wedge with my body, he can't slip that knee out. As he lifts his hip to try and move, I can put my arm underneath it. I can kind of hold it here like this. So if you're a leg locky guy, this is going to be your jam. Even if you're not, you can really prevent someone from meeting any of the conditions, which is they can't turn away, they can't turn in, and they can't regard. So this one we're going to practice a little bit before we do the round. So I want you guys just to go, if you're beside your partner on their left side, it's going to be your left thigh that goes under and creates a wedge like right around the knee pit, and then your other knee is going to come across their hip line.
Is that foot on the ground or no?
It is on the ground right now, yes, yeah. And then basically you're just going to lean over their leg, so you're adding to the wedging pressure with your rib cage and your lat kind of thing. And there's no one way of doing this. Like I could add another lever here and make this even more obnoxious, right? So you can certainly do that. And I'm not touching him with my hips, I'm not touching him with my torso, but the amount of control I have is still pretty significant. So just try this wedge out, and try whatever other kind of, just like get familiar with it. Again, we're not sparring, we're not doing a round, just see how it feels, and then we'll do another round in a few minutes. All right? You guys do the 1, 2, 3 clap thing?
That's what I want.
Sorry, 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2. There you go.
Actually,